Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one.
Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow pose next to a car. Known for their illegal activities, they became famous during the Great Depression. This 1933 image captures the couple, who became legends in American folklore as symbols of rebellion. A British soldier captures a German tank crew member during the Second Battle of El Alamein in Egypt between October and November of 1942. This decisive confrontation marked a turning point in the North African campaign of World War II, with the Allies halting the Axis forces' advance. A survivor of Nagasaki, Japan, in 1945, walks through the wreckage after the atomic bombing on August 9th. The explosion devastated the city, resulting in thousands of victims and leaving permanent scars. A woman poses in a futuristic outfit with a helmet and tight clothing, symbolizing the optimistic vision of future fashion. The lunar backdrop, with mountains and a spacecraft, captures the fascination of the era with space exploration. Hiro Onoda Center, a Japanese imperial soldier, surrendered on March 11, 1974, after hiding for 30 years in the jungles of the Philippines, believing World War II had not ended. His loyalty and persistence made him a symbol of Japanese military dedication. An American soldier shields an injured Japanese boy from the rain as he shelters him in his plane and awaits help. This act of humanity highlights moments of compassion even amidst the tensions and hardships of conflict, symbolizing human connection beyond the barriers of war. Hungarian Jews arriving at the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp in May 1944 are led to the gas chambers or execution after not being selected for forced labor. This was one of the darkest moments of the Holocaust, with thousands of lives lost daily during this time. London Bridge in 1890 was an iconic landmark connecting the north and south sides of the River Thames. Built in 1831, this version was replaced in 1973 due to increasing traffic. Surrounded by boats and commercial activity, the bridge symbolized the beating heart of Victorian London. An aerial photo from 1944, taken by an Allied reconnaissance plane, shows the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp complex. This image revealed the vast scale of the camp, including barracks, gas chambers, and facilities used by the Nazis during the Holocaust, a dark milestone of World War II. Anne Frank, a young Jewish girl, was deported to the Nazi Auschwitz camp on June 12, 1942. Known for her diary, Anne documented the challenges of living in hiding during the Nazi occupation. Her story became a powerful symbol of resistance and hope in times of oppression. An innovative helmet from the 1960s featured a built-in communication device, allowing motorcyclists to communicate with each other during their ride. The wreckage of Flight 826 in Park Slope, Brooklyn, after a mid-air collision on December 16, 1960. The disaster involved two commercial planes colliding over New York, resulting in 134 fatalities. It was one of the worst air accidents of the time, leading to advancements in aviation safety. Chief Dustmaker of the Ponca tribe poses in traditional attire in northern Nebraska. This 1898 photograph preserves the rich culture and identity of Native American peoples. Pioneers pose in front of a wooden cabin with a sign that reads, "Wives Wanted." The image was captured in Montana, United States in 1901. The Italian howitzer Obice da 305/17, used during World War I, had a barrel 19 feet, approximately 5.8 meters long. Designed to destroy fortifications, it was essential in artillery battles on the Italian front, showcasing the advancement of heavy weaponry in modern warfare. This 1955 image shows a Cooper apprentice undergoing a traditional ritual called trust. He was thrown into a barrel he had made, covered in soot, wood, ashes, and water. Harry Gardner, known as the Human Fly, is seen hanging from the 24th floor of the McAlpin Hotel in New York in 1922. Famous for his daring stunts, he climbed buildings without safety equipment to entertain crowds and promote events, becoming an iconic figure of the era. A German soldier dives to take cover from a shell explosion on the Western Front during World War I around 1917. A woman poses with her enslaved individuals in Brazil in 1860, reflecting the reality of slavery in the country during the 19th century. Brazil was the last Western country to abolish slavery in 1888, after centuries of exploitation that deeply marked its history and society. During Prohibition in 1929, officers pour whiskey down a drain as part of efforts to enforce the alcohol ban in the United States. Prohibition, which lasted from 1920 to 1933, led to the destruction of large quantities of alcohol, but also fueled illegal trade and smuggling. Chainmakers in 1899 were manual laborers who forged iron and steel chains in rudimentary workshops. The Titanic survivors, Marjorie and Charlotte Collier, are photographed in New York shortly after the ship sank in 1912. Rescued by the RMS Carpathia, the two faced a tragedy that claimed over 1,500 lives. A group of people in China in 1850 focus on small objects in their hands. While it looks like a modern scene of cell phone use, the image actually shows individuals engaged in manual tasks, reflecting cultural traditions and occupations of the time. John F. Kennedy's presidential motorcade passes along a road in Houston, Texas. Motorcyclists escort the official vehicles, and cars fill the street. This scene took place on November 21, 1963, one day before the tragic event in Dallas. Two soldiers from the 363rd Field Artillery Battalion improvise a haircut amidst the rubble near Okinawa. The photo, taken on June 10, 1945, captures moments of pause and humanity during the tough battle in the Pacific. Pope John Paul II meets Mehmet Ali Agca, the man who attacked him in 1983. The meeting took place in the prison where Agca was detained, marking a moment of forgiveness and reconciliation. This symbolic gesture became one of the most notable examples of compassion in the 20th century. Nestori Lindstrom, 11 years old, left his home during the Continuation War to help on the Northern Front against the Soviets. Dressed in uniform and armed, he represents the determination of the Finnish people in 1941 during this conflict between Finland and the Soviet Union in World War II. Russian chess players faced the cold in Moscow during the 1950s, dressed in heavy coats and surrounded by snow. A motorcycle polo game takes place in California in 1919. This unusual sport was an exciting variation of traditional polo. Events like this attracted crowds, combining speed, skill, and the enthusiasm of the era's innovations. The construction of the subway at Columbus Circle, New York in 1901 required careful work to dig tunnels under the Christopher Columbus Monument. This project was part of the city's first subway system, inaugurated in 1904, which revolutionized urban transportation and quickly connected neighborhoods. Behind the scenes of the movie Jaws, a special effects technician repairs the teeth of the famous mechanical shark. The photo was taken in 1974. Nurses present newborn triplets to the emotional father in a New York hospital. He appears to faint with happiness as the staff smiles at the special moment. The scene was captured in 1946. A Prussian Landwehr soldier is seen wearing rat skins in a shelter during World War I. In extreme trench conditions, soldiers often resorted to makeshift methods to obtain essential materials such as clothing or insulation, using all available resources. Bob Ross, the famous host of The Joy of Painting on PBS, appears in two distinct phases of his life. Before becoming a painter, he served as a master sergeant in the United States Air Force. John Lennon takes a ride with his son Julian on a Honda monkey bike in the early 1970s. President John F. Kennedy attends a breakfast conference with his daughter Caroline in the White House residential area in 1961. The spacious interior of the Pan Am Martin Clipper, photographed in 1936, shows passengers relaxing in comfortable chairs. An excited man celebrates the launch of Windows 95 in a crowded store. The event, which took place in 1995, marked a new era in personal computing, bringing a more accessible graphical interface and the beginning of the system's popularization. RAF pilot Francis Mellors is seen getting a haircut while reading Greenmantle by John Buchan in Essex, England in 1942. This relaxed moment contrasts with the intensity of World War II, showing how soldiers sought small routines to unwind between missions. Yuri Valentinovich Knorozov, Soviet ethnographer, was responsible for deciphering the Maya writing system, a significant achievement in the 1980s. Using colonial texts and innovative linguistic approaches, he unraveled the complex structure of the glyphs, revolutionizing the study of the Maya civilization and its cultural legacy. Laurel and Hardy pose beside two women in a casual scene from 1929. The comedic duo, known for their physical humor and impeccable timing, marked the transition from silent to talkie films, becoming icons of classic Hollywood comedy. A crowd celebrates New Year's Eve in Times Square, New York, surrounded by neon signs and falling confetti. This annual event drew thousands of people in 1938, symbolizing the enthusiasm and unity of the era. A young boy patiently waits for his grandfather's birthday present in 1929. This moment depicts the simplicity and anticipation typical of an era marked by family traditions and personal connections, even amidst the challenges of the early Great Depression. Emmett Jones, 12, was arrested along with other youths carrying stolen firearms. Over the course of 3 days, they stole 14 cars from uninhabited suburban homes in the winter. When surrounded by police, they resisted for several hours before finally being captured. Before the Zamboni in 1917, ice smoothing was done with improvised vehicles and manual equipment. In this photo, an adapted machine drags a scraper to level the surface of the skating rink. Workers perform repairs on the Graf Zeppelin during a transatlantic flight over the ocean in the early 1930s. The daring maintenance on top of the aircraft reflects the challenges faced to keep this aviation landmark operational. The luxurious interior of a late 19th century Pullman Palace car featured ornate details, elegant curtains, and comfortable furniture. These cars transform train travel. A 1930 Ford Model A pickup is seen waiting for a steam train to pass at a railroad crossing. This scene portrays the coexistence of motorized vehicles and steam locomotives, symbols of transition and modernization in early 20th century transportation. Central Park in New York was transformed into a Hooverville during the Great Depression in 1933. Small makeshift shacks housed people affected by the economic crisis. A health officer measures the width of an alley in Liverpool in 1907. This work was part of efforts to improve sanitary conditions in urban areas, addressing issues like overcrowding and lack of ventilation, common during the Industrial Revolution. These measures helped prevent disease. A military parade in Moscow, Soviet Union in 1940 showcased the strength of the Red Army in Red Square. This annual event highlighted Soviet military power with tanks, soldiers, and weapons parading, symbolizing the country's preparation amid the tensions leading up to World War II. Zorita, a dancer famous for her bold performances, is seen walking with her pet snake in 1939. Known for incorporating exotic animals into her shows, Zorita defied conventions and attracted attention for her unique and eccentric style at the time. Firefighters conduct fire training at the National Museum in Krakow in 1930. The exercise involved protecting valuable artworks, highlighting the concern for preserving cultural heritage in case of emergencies. An iconic cafe in Los Angeles, built in the shape of a giant cup, attracts customers with its unique design and affordable prices. In 1934, a sandwich cost only 15 cents. Carrie Fisher and her stunt double relax on the set of Return of the Jedi during filming in the 1980s, wearing the iconic Princess Leia costume. An 18-year-old woman working as a street worker stands next to a police car on a street near Red Square in the Soviet Union in 1991. Captured by Peter Turnley, the image reflects the economic and social hardships faced during the collapse of the USSR. Visitors rest on a sofa at the Louvre Museum in Paris after exploring the galleries in 1950. The image captures the contrast between the grandeur of the artworks and the fatigue of the admirers. The first automobile race in the United States took place in Chicago in 1895 and was won by Frank Drurier. The event marked the beginning of car racing in the country, with motorized vehicles traveling about 54 miles in challenging weather conditions, including snow and mud. This century-old photo showcases the impressive tradition of Rwandan hairstyles. Known as amasunzu, this style was worn by both men and women to symbolize social status, maturity, or elegance, reflecting Rwanda's rich cultural heritage. Belfast, 1980. The city was still facing the intense conflicts of the period known as the Troubles, marked by tensions between Unionists, Protestants, and Nationalists, Catholics. Protests, barricades, and a heavy military presence were common, reflecting the challenges of a deeply divided society. A man demonstrates one of the world's first gym machines, designed by Dr. Gustav Zander in Stockholm, 1892. turbine of the Hoover Dam under construction, photographed in 1933. This massive component was essential for hydroelectric power generation, transforming the Colorado River into one of the largest sources of renewable energy in the United States. A snake charmer interacts with a cobra in Rangoon, Burma in 1950. This traditional practice is part of the rich local culture and symbolizes a unique connection between humans and animals, often presented as entertainment in villages and markets in the region. Queen Victoria poses surrounded by members of her large royal family, nicknamed the Grandmother of Europe. This 1894 photo highlights her political and familial influence at the height of the Victorian era. A demonstration of one of the first computer mice occurred in 1968 during a presentation by Douglas Engelbart. The revolutionary device, made of wood, was part of his vision for human-computer interaction, marking a pivotal moment in the development of modern technology. A side-by-side comparison shows Newcastle Castle in 1895 and 2022 in Newcastle upon Tyne, England. This historic landmark, originally built in the 12th century, remains preserved, connecting medieval history to modernity. This photo shows a mechanical traffic signal in operation in Philadelphia, United States in 1922. Manually operated by a police officer, the device indicated stop and go to control traffic at busy intersections. Charlie Chaplin and Carter DeHaven are photographed in a small vehicle outside the Chaplin studios in 1919. The image captures a relaxed moment between friends during the golden age of silent film. A tenement on Gold Street in Brooklyn in 1890 shows the living conditions in densely populated urban areas during the late 19th century. Two guards from the Delhi Durbar pose alongside James Ricalton, an American photographer who visited India in 1903. The Delhi Durbar ceremony was held to mark the coronation of King Edward VII as Emperor of India. An ancient Greek sarcophagus depicts a small elderly dog with a collar embedded with precious stones, resting on its bed. The detailed sculpture suggests the animal was facing the old road, as if watching passers-by with an expressive gaze. This artifact highlights the deep bond between humans and their pets in antiquity. Disney employees create props for a production in the iconic ink and paint room. This department was crucial in classic animation, where artists added color and life to the drawings, playing an essential role in the success of Walt Disney's early works. Elvis Presley enlisted in the United States Army in 1958, interrupting his music career at its peak. As a private, he served in West Germany, where he carried out his military duties like any other recruit, gaining respect for his dedication and humility. The interior of a Pierce Arrow automobile showroom in Missouri in 1931 displayed luxury vehicles that symbolized elegance and innovation in American engineering during the golden age of the automobile. Known for catering to an affluent clientele, the brand offered sophisticated designs and advanced performance for the time. A girl drives a pedal car in 1922, a popular children's toy of the time. These miniature vehicles were designed to resemble real cars and were powered by pedal force, providing fun while reflecting the growing popularity of cars in the early 20th century. A section of human skin used as ornamentation was found in the Buchenwald concentration camp and presented as evidence by the U.S. government during the Nuremberg trials between 1945 and 1946. A scene in a medical office in the Soviet Union during the 1980s shows a patient being treated in a typical setting of the time. Healthcare services, while widely accessible, were often characterized by simple facilities and limited resources, reflecting the conditions of the Soviet healthcare system. Young Elizabeth II is photographed alongside her father, the then Duke of York, future King George VI, in 1929. This moment depicts the future British monarch in her childhood, long before she ascended to the throne in 1952, marking the beginning of a historic reign. Kurt Russell, then 12 years old, kicks Elvis Presley in the shin in the movie It Happened at the World's Fair, 1963. The Fat Men's Shop in New York City in 1955 specifically catered to larger-sized men, reflecting a shift in consumption patterns of the time. These specialty stores emerged to offer tailored clothing for an audience previously neglected by conventional fashion. Freddie Mercury is seen resting in his bed with his cats in the 1980s. The iconic Queen lead singer was known for his love for his pets, often dedicating songs to them and considering them part of his family, reflecting his affectionate and private side offstage. Carrie Fisher, at just 7 years old, watches her mother, Debbie Reynolds, backstage at the Riviera Hotel in Las Vegas in 1963. This intimate moment highlights the family bond between young Carrie and her mother, one of the major stars of Hollywood's golden age. Elizabeth Taylor is captured in suspense as she watches a boxing match in New York in 1960. The iconic Hollywood actress, known for her charm and talent, often drew attention not only for her performances, but also for her striking presence at social events. People wait for the subway train in Stockholm, Sweden in 1959. The station, part of a modern system opened in 1950, reflects the efficiency and functional design of Scandinavia. This period marked the growth of public transportation as an essential part of urban life. Bill Paxton, Liam Neeson, and Patrick Swayze appear together in the film Next of Kin, 1989. This action drama follows a man seeking justice for his brother amidst family and criminal tensions, highlighting the intense performances of these renowned actors. The premiere of Frankenstein took place in downtown Los Angeles in 1931, marking the beginning of its journey as a classic in the horror film genre. Directed by James Whale and starring Boris Karloff, the film attracted crowds and set new standards for the genre, becoming a cultural icon. Future Queen Elizabeth II in 1945 served as a mechanic and driver in the Auxiliary Territorial Service during World War II. At just 19 years old, she was the only woman in the royal family to join the military service, demonstrating her commitment to the United Kingdom's war effort. An elderly hunter and his dog are photographed in Mason County, Kentucky in 1890. The image captures the close relationship between the man and his faithful companion, symbolizing a simple life dependent on hunting for sustenance in rural areas of the United States in the late 19th century. A textile merchant in Samarkand, present-day Uzbekistan, is photographed by Sergei Prokudin-Gorsky in the 1910s. Known for his pioneering color photography techniques, Prokudin-Gorsky captured the vibrant culture and lively markets of the Silk Road, preserving a glimpse of daily life in Imperial Russian Central Asia. Children play in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. in 1940. The image reflects the simple and often difficult living conditions faced by families during the Great Depression, highlighting the resilience and spirit of youth even in times of adversity. A woman walks alone amidst the World War II rubble in 1945. This powerful scene reflects the devastation left by the conflict. A 21-year-old lieutenant wears the full uniform of the 4th Queen's Own Hussars in 1895. 2 months after graduating from the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, he received his military commission directly from Queen Victoria in February 1895, marking the beginning of his career in the British Army. A group of men observes the giant Moai statues on Easter Island, Polynesia, in December 1922. These carved figures, created by the ancient Rapa Nui inhabitants, intrigued visitors with their grandeur and the mysteries of how they were transported and erected. Prussian dwarfs are seen with a cart pulled by a dog instead of a horse, an unusual scene reflecting alternative transportation practices in rural areas. Using dogs for light tasks was common in 19th century Europe, especially in communities without access to horses. Dolly Parton, at 20 years old, is photographed in a recording studio in 1966. During this period, she was beginning to solidify her career in country music, bringing her unmistakable voice and songwriting talent that would soon make her one of the most iconic artists in American music history.